glass of it, and that's a lot of wine. Yeah, I didn't have anything Hollow Knight related.
I would love a full Hollow Knight book, though.
I just ordered one.
Oh, good.
Fuck, is it I Am 8-Bit or Fangamer? Maybe Fangamer. They have the Wanderer's Journal. I think it's been sold out for a long time, and they just restocked it. They're going for like $100 on Amazon. But
Jeez Louise.
They're only $30 on Fangamer, and it's like a big, lavish world book, art book, game book. Yeah.
I love these character designs.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Raw Dogs. Here we are at number 68. We are part of Hair the Dogcast. We are members of the HyperX Podcast Network. Check out podcast.hyperx.com. My name is Brad, and I am a raw dog.
Yeah, my name is Dylan. I'm also a raw dog. I'm just distracted by these nice illustrations that I'm looking at, and this, what is it? Indie Games, History, Artwork, Sound Design of Independent Video Games. When did this come out?
A couple of years ago. I got it last year for Indie Games Month, and
2018.
I wasn't sure. I just went and looked up at my bookshelf. I'm like, do I have anything with Hollow Knight stuff? And there's a few pictures of Hollow Knight stuff in here, but it's kind of all over the place about the design of like how indie games are made and where they kind of started and came from. But what is a raw dog, Dylan?
Raw Dogs, we kind of go a little bit deeper into subjects than we normally do on Hair the Dogcast. Hair the Dogcast regular is a bit more of a chat show. We talk about the news. And then this one, we just we go hog on one topic.
We go hog. Mm-hmm. And kind of a big topic for today. Hollow Knight is one of the big ones. Yeah, we got some beers. We're drinking beers. Yeah, I drank a lot last night.
Mexican Honey Light we have.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. Since I became...
Do you prefer the light?
Since I became blue collar, yeah. I just want like more of a light drinkable lager after work. I don't want an 8%er, so...
Sometimes I just need that IPA. After a rough day at work? You kidding me?
Yeah. Hollow Knight is a pretty big game. It's a tentpole. It's a giant in the indie game scene.
It's an insanely good video game. I meant to say that I might, after kind of like remembering, I'm like, oh yeah, I loved this game. I'm thinking about getting the nail, the sword that the knight has.
Yeah.
Full actual scale.
I was going to say it would be to scale if you got
just on my finger.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be a fun tattoo.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And then when Silk Song comes out, you can get the little whatever Hornet's
needle. Yeah. I love the needle. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hollow Knight, this when we asked all of our friends and friends on the Discord and the community last year for Indie Games Month, we had everyone just submit their favorite games, and we just did a combined ranking together. And Hollow Knight 1 is the Dogcast community's favorite indie game of all time.
Why, now having played it, why do you think that it's so popular?
Well, because I hadn't played it before. I think I got it for free at some point, but I bought it. I wound up buying it for the Switch because I wanted to play it. I had a long car ride home, and I wanted to check it out, and I had a lot of time in the car.
Sure.
And my first experience with it, like I did not enjoy I thought it was good the first 4 or 5 hours, but it didn't capture me as much on the handheld screen. I wasn't playing with any audio, which does make a big fucking difference for this game.
Well, you didn't have any Bluetooth headphones or anything?
I'm in the car with my fiance, and we were listening to stuff and talking.
Sure.
Yeah, so I didn't want to just tune out too much. But
do you think the sound design is critical to Hollow Knight?
For the atmosphere,
the music is phenomenal.
And I mean, how much am I missing out on the fact that I don't hear the shopkeeper go Bafanada?
Bafanada.
I mean, the dialogue is fascinating in this game, but so I initially didn't love it, but then I put it up on the big screen, and the music and the atmosphere is just dripping. And
also playing with the Joy-Cons, it's a little annoying. You want something like a Pro controller for those segments where things get a little.
Have you gotten a Pro controller yet?
No, I beat this without it.
Yeah.
Although it is on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I played a little bit of it on that.
But as far as to why I think it is such a big game, I mean, to spoil my thoughts on it, I think it is probably the best designed Metroidvania ever made.
Interesting.
As strictly how the concept of a Metroidvania with gatekeeping, with opening the world up, with new techniques, new abilities, with movement tech. I don't think any other game does it better. It's still not my favorite Metroidvania, just because
Symphony of the Night exists.
Symphony of the Night exists. I'm just more into that like gothic art style, and the soundtrack. I just like that world more.
Yeah.
Something else that really works for this is the difficulty. I mean, this game is fairly punishing, and it doesn't go easy on you.
It's kind of funny. I didn't really have trouble. I think I didn't really have trouble with any of the bosses. Past a certain point, I don't know if I just clicked, because I'm usually not like the greatest at video games. This is like the big secret that I have to tell everyone. And sometimes I'm just like, if it's too tough, sometimes I just put it down and I get so annoyed I'm never going to come back to it.
Yeah.
But for some reason I kept being propelled through this game. I just love that. I just love that little knight, man. I just want to see him swing his little sword.
Yeah.
And there's something compelling about the exploration. Everywhere, like I thought that it was going to be a pretty simple map when I first started playing it.
Yeah.
And it keeps opening itself up further and further. And you're just like, how deep does this go? And how many abilities do you have? When you had the ability to like launch off of walls and basically rocket across half of the entire field.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's so unique in that way.
And it's like, now where can I go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are secrets everywhere, little hidden rooms, little niches, little valleys, little tucked away caverns that are obviously hidden by something else. And I love games with exploration, and I think this game satisfied me in every way in that. I think it's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know how I'd rank them, which we should do that one day, actually. I think that'd be really interesting.
I got a surprise for the end of this where we're going to do that. So, surprise.
Oh, okay.
Just at the top of the episode here, Hollow Knight was released February 24th, 2017 for Windows. It was originally going to come to the Wii U. Then the Wii U happened. And instead it came to the Switch June 12th, 2018. And PlayStation 4 and Xbox One September 25th, 2018. Overview, you play as a nameless insectoid warrior called the Knight. And you explore a fallen kingdom plagued by a supernatural disease.
Yes.
This was made by Team Cherry, Australian developers. Incredibly small team.
Yes. How many people? 3?
It started off with, I believe, just the 2 of them.
Okay.
And the idea came from the Ludum Dare Game Jam in 2013. Ari Gibson and William Pellin wanted to create a game inspired by older platformers and their explorational aspects. They created Hungry Knight for that game jam. But actually, that's where they first designed the Knight. It's like a Flash game. It's still up on Newgrounds, I guess. And it's super simple. The game's not good. It's got a 1-star rating, but it's still up there.
It's a game jam. You're not gonna.
They had a day to make a game. What do you think?
Yeah.
But that's where the Knight came from.
Cool.
The first time that they created him. There was another game jam shortly later, and the theme for that was Beneath the Surface. They wound up not making it to that game jam, but they liked the theme. So that's where they decided they wanted to take that character they made and flesh it out into a bigger idea. And they had a lot of inspirations. Metroid, of course.
Yeah.
Zelda 2, which I need to beat. I've never actually beaten Zelda 2.
It's a really difficult game to get into the headspace for. Mm-hmm. I can't.
I think it's just one of those that I need to do at some point just to do it.
I just don't think it works, in my opinion. I hate it. Going to talk to people in towns, like, it looks gross. Like the color palette's bad. I don't know why they designed the game like that. I don't know. I've never beaten Adventures of Link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to. Fazanadu, or Faxanadu, or I think it's Fazanadu is how they'd say it, but I think it's a Nintendo game.
What? Hold on, let me take a look at this. I don't know what that is.
And that's kind of about a lone warrior coming to like a kingdom, and the kingdom is going through an infection.
Faxanadu?
Faxanadu.
Okay. Faxanadu.
Also inspired a lot by Mega Man X, primarily in the way the knight moves. There is no acceleration or deceleration when moving horizontally, as well as a large amount of aerial control and ability to interrupt a jump with a dash. So a lot of the knight's movement is based on X, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep, and the complexity of the world is based on Metroid, allowing you to become disoriented and lost. Which, one thing I read about this game that kind of blew my mind, I mean, the art style, awesome.
It's very simplistic design work, but I've said it a million times before, and I keep railing on it. If you can make a silhouette of these characters, like completely block out all the details, and you can still see what character it is, that's good design for the most part. So like if you took Hornet, and then you completely blacked out all the lines and just made it a silhouette, you would know immediately that it was Hornet.
And playing on that also, you take a character like Zote, and it shares an outline with your character, which makes it like fun that he's like a pale imitation of you.
But he's also like hunched, and one of his horns is like they're asymmetrical. So it really does. It says a lot about his character right away.
And you find out he has abusive parents with the dream nail.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. A lot of fun, lot of lore and world building in the game. But one thing about the art design, sometimes Ari Gibson would do one hand-drawn sketch, a quick sketch of a character, take a picture with his phone, upload it to the computer, and they would have a working enemy in the game that day from a picture of a phone. Like the phone picture, and they'll upload, he just draws it, takes a picture, puts it on the computer, and they can get it animated and in the game like that same day.
I wonder, did he go to school for art?
He did the art for the game. I don't know if that's what he went to school for, but
because
I think it's just fascinating, just that quick of a turnaround. Whereas other games, it takes you can't accomplish this with every style of game.
Yeah. I wish I had a full book of this, just these illustrations.
Yeah, they flip back a few pages. There's a few more.
Okay, cool.
So they decided this is going to be Team Cherry's first big game. They wanted to seek more funding on Kickstarter. This was a Kickstarter game.
Oh, yeah.
Which I did not know that at first. In AU dollars will be all these prices. About 68 cents for each of their dollar would be 68 cents for American.
Oh, okay.
About 68 cents for each dollar, yeah. Funding stopped on December 18th, 2014. They had a goal of $35,000 because this was kind of just to supplement stuff they had already been working on. And this wasn't like the only funding they were going to have, but they wanted some more money.
As it turns out, it's expensive and time consuming.
Yeah. And they didn't push themselves too hard, which is nice.
No.
Also with Silksong, and Cuphead. Sorry, the DLC is going to take as long as it takes.
Well,
and
Silksong is not a DLC.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It was.
Yeah, because some of the pledges the goal was $35,000. They raised $57,000, but with $39,000, they added the White Palace, $44,000, 4 additional quests. At the $50,000 mark, the Wii U port. Love it. And that's, I think it's cool that they're like, no, it's a Wii U game. It's not going to be for the PlayStation or Xbox. That was the one that they aimed for. And at $56,000, the second playable character. Some things they didn't reach in Kickstarter was the Coliseum of Fools, which they added anyways. Third character, PS Vita port. And
oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it reminds me of a little bit like Mighty Number 9, which they're still allegedly doing PS Vita ports, because they never actually released them and they reached the level.
They can't be.
No, they're not anymore. But
No. They gave up on that.
Yeah, Keiji Inafune. We're making 5 Netflix series, 3 movies. Here is our line of underwear. It's like, sorry, your game didn't make it, but
if you make a complete ripoff of one of your own creations, like you think it's ever going to be more popular than Mega Man?
Yeah.
which has an ingrained fan base, they're not suddenly going to be like, yeah, but this number 9 character, pretty good.
Yeah, it's like you starting Rough Dogs.
I know.
It's not the same at all. I mean, it's a podcast. Then some unique pledges. If you pledge $600, you got to help design a boss. $880, you got to help design a dungeon. For $1,200, you got to design a village. You worked with them. I know some of the characters. I think when we get down there, like the character of Cloth is one that someone got to design the character.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was, hey, how about this big style of bug with maybe a burlap sack outfit? And then, Ari Gibson just goes and does what he does.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, though.
Raising this money allowed them to hire another developer, tech director David Kazi, as well as a composer for the game, Christopher Larkin. The game reached beta state in September 2015. The engine switched from Stencil to Unity, and the Wii U version got canceled in 2017 for the Switch version. That is the quick summary of kind of the development journey.
I got this game pretty quick when it was released on the Switch because there was a huge drought around that time.
Yeah.
I think the drought is just because it was a new console, but it was between this, Zelda, and like Snipper Clips. That's what it felt like. And I'm just like, oh, finally a meaty game to get into. I didn't end up beating it for years though. I think the first time I beat it was like 2019. I stopped playing it for a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I tried to play it. I think was it maybe on PlayStation as a free game. I don't know. I definitely looked at it and maybe played like a little bit before. I don't think it's a perfect game. I think there is just so much done right that I forgive whatever small flaws it might have. But one complaint I would say is it might take too long to add to your verb set, your movement tech.
Oh, yeah.
Because he starts off the night. They start off. I think they might be.
Basic.
They might be genderless. The night. I'm not sure.
The night.
Because you're created out of the. You're in like a.
He's a formless thing. Yeah.
You're made out of void inside
You're
of a
made out
vessel,
of abyss or whatever it's called.
I don't know if void comes with wieners or not. But
I always saw it as a male creature for some reason.
Maybe it's because you want like
projection. Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, it takes a while. You start off without a lot of that delicious movement that you do acquire. Your wall jumps, your double jumps, your dash.
The monarch wings.
That dash and the wall jump, you need that stuff.
Yeah.
And it does. The jump feels better when you have the other things added to it.
And I think I don't think the opening hours of this game are very strong.
Yeah.
At all. It is. They do a pretty good job of, the early level design where it kind of says like, just get used to swinging the sword, get used to fighting enemies in this way because that's essentially what you're going to be doing for the rest of the game. And I watched that Boss Keys video and I was like, when did it open up? And there is a point in which the game kind of explodes and you can just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
But those first 2 hours. You basically go down and then right, and then you hit the bottom over there, and then you move up to this boss, and that's like your first true test.
Yeah.
And once you get to that city, though, it's just you can just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, it really does open up after that. That was definitely the first spot where I got slowed down and tested a bit.
Yeah.
Your main weapon, you have melee combat with the nail, which is a great weapon. I do love that. Almost every enemy and character is a variation of different bug styles. And these are all like based on real bugs, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the nail, it's just a little nail.
It's literally just a nail.
I like to imagine, there's huge underground worlds and stuff. It makes sense.
That's like the pure imagination of this. Part of me always wonders like, is this someone's yard?
Yeah. I will say something controversial to possibly the Hollow Knight community.
What's that?
They're hardcore. Like
I know.
And there are people that take the lore of this and they do deep dives. They treat it as like another Dark Souls type. That I said the Dark Souls for the first time.
Yeah, I mean it is a Dark Souls like as much as it's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Because if because what are the two staples of Dark Souls? It's about dying, and it's about gaining like currency in the form of defeated enemies.
And you die, you have to go back to where you died.
Mm-hmm.
Benches are your fires or your lamps or whatever, your lanterns.
Which, to be honest, we got to stop calling them Souls-likes, because I'm going to guarantee that they did not originate on that idea.
Yeah.
There's got to be other games that did it beforehand. It's
whatever popularized it, you know?
Well, I mean, that would be interesting. I'd love to see where it all originates, because that can't be just as old as 11 years old, or it would be like 14 years old. That mechanic can't be that young.
Well, it's just breaking down to what is a Souls-like, but the lore and the world, I barely got anything out of it when I played this game.
Oh, I loved it.
I think the problem was maybe I started the game and it was all handheld and I wasn't as engrossed, possibly. Sure. But I mean, is
that a problem you have in general playing handheld games?
I don't play handheld games generally.
Okay.
What I like for handheld is real arcadey pickup for a little while. And Hollow Knight will be a very great, now that I've reached the end game, like I could take it and just want to go run around and clean up some side quests. That'd be great. But most of the lore and they do environmental storytelling a lot with this too, where you just run into little like signs or posts or poems places.
Yeah.
And to me, I didn't know what was going on and said, oh, that's fine. But a lot of, after, beating the game and getting ready for this, I looked into a lot of the lore. And part of what's going on down there is that these bugs have attained a sort of sentience.
Yeah.
And
like a curse.
Yeah, it is like a curse. Sometimes knowing what's going on isn't necessarily the great thing.
Yeah.
I forget the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind quote, like, blessed are the forgetful, for they not know their blunders or something. It's like, if I didn't know everything that I did wrong, I'd probably be happier about it.
And which is just an interesting choice, because they are bugs, and you don't think of bugs as having sentience at all.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about the lore in a second. But as far as gameplay, the nail, you can get length and speed upgrades with your charms. One of my favorite things about it is the Shovel Knight bounce. It's not the Shovel Knight bounce, nail bouncing, whatever it is.
Nail bounce, yeah. That is one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was more versatility with it too. Like a lot of spikes you can jump, like bounce off of.
Yep. And there are some neat tricks to like beat bosses quicker with them too. Because you can basically stay up in the air as long as you have, because he has a very deliberate swing and you can almost time it out. It's rhythmic. So just like Shovel Knight, what's the level? It's like the airship level, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Where you're constantly just bouncing off platforms. Like they give you rooms where they're like challenges.
Yeah.
Just don't get hit by the little spikes.
Yeah, the little extra challenge rooms.
I love those.
Yeah, and you definitely have to for certain things later on. If you can't do that, you won't get to certain endings. But your HP, you have the masks at the top of your screen. You can increase that by collecting mask shards. One thing that this game does is where you hold focus, depending on what it is, it'll be a different button, but hold focus and replenishes your health, but you can't move, or risks reward.
It feels really good to do that. That is actually like you see the gauge go down and it kind of rumbles a little and then it just pops right back in and he's like got two more masks. It feels awesome.
It really works.
The game feel is very good in this game.
The gameplay is fine-tuned. It is honed to perfection. And it's terrifying. You're in the middle of a boss fight and you think you have enough to get a mask back. You get one and then your timing is off, so you get hit right away, so it's a wash. But
I guess I have a question. Which boss gave you the most trouble?
The Watcher Knights.
The Watcher Knights.
Those dickheads. They're guarding the third Dreamer. There's like 5 of them. I think there would be 6th, but if you drop a chandelier before you enter the room, you destroy one of their husks before they wake up.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, I was very happy to find that.
I gotta remember what they look like.
Yeah, they're in the spire, the Watcher's Spire, it might be called, in the City of Tears. I struggled with them for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of, a lot of bosses in this game. I would say 70% of them whittle down to almost the exact same verbs. They charge forward, they'll drop down. A lot of them use similar moves. So once you understand a lot, like a certain boss, you can translate it to many bosses. And a lot of that is just variations of their timing will be different, or they'll go different directions a little slightly.
Sure.
A lot of the bosses, though, I think have a sameness to them, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just saying, they definitely, like, as soon as I got to certain bosses, I'm like, oh, you're doing that thing.
Well, I love when it's like multiple bosses, like the Mantis Lords, who are just so interesting.
They are maybe the best designed boss fight.
Yeah. Where they're all jumping in and out of screen and they're kind of choosing to attack you on various different, like, I just remember just having to dodge and finding corners where they didn't hit.
And just their timing that they like drop in when you're fighting the two at the same time, I thought was brilliant. They're really well done.
Another one that gave me a bit of trouble was the guy who used souls, the Soul King, and the guy at the top of
Soul Master.
The Soul Master. Thank you.
He was my first roadblock.
He was very difficult to defeat.
That was when I had to go through, and in a lot of these, I mean, the boss fights, you're not waiting outside of the boss arena when you die.
No,
you're going to walk back, and you're going to have to go through certain areas. And then
that one's a trek.
And I was going up elevators, and I was going back and needing to get my Geo back. And I said, I get it. It's a Dark Souls game. That's where I had my moment of like, it's tough. And this is where I realized, oh, there's going to be bosses that are punishing.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had a moment like, this is not, and it's not that they're unfairly difficult, but Metroidvanias, generally, I don't have issues with any of the bosses.
No.
Bloodstained, there's one spot at the beginning where you have to fight the dude, and he's a little tougher, and he kind of just puts you in check. But
what, the swordsman? The
Zangetsu?
Yeah.
I think. He just kind of puts you in check, but Metroidvania is generally not tough. They're not there to challenge you, and
if you get the like, especially like Symphony of the Night, if you have the right spell on you, you're solid.
Yeah, those Symphony of the Night. I can't remember having too much issues there, but
well, and one of the things about this game is no health gauges for the enemies.
Yeah,
you don't know how well you're doing.
No, you don't. You might stagger them, and you're like, but you don't know how many times you need to stagger them.
Yeah.
You don't know how many phases they might switch over to.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing about the game too, is that you never know when the fight is over until they literally explode into like white light that shoots out everywhere. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because this game is about trepidation and it's a little creepy. Like, it's almost Tim Burton-y type of creepy.
The creators have used the words Tim Burton when they were describing the game before.
It's just that kind of twee gothic charm.
Yeah.
It works really well for it. And everything is just, like even the way the characters speak, it's like, I'm like, that's Tim Burton.
It's got its own identity. And I couldn't name all the Metroidvanias, but there's a lot of them out there that I'll play for a little bit. I'm like, no, you're not clicking. I don't. Your art style doesn't work for me. I did have issues on the small screen with this for a while. I'm like, it's just all too black and white and looks too samey. And then I played it up in the big screen, and then all of the little details start shining.
Yeah.
And all of the different locations do have a pretty striking color palette. It's just all like very muted. And
it's a very dark game.
It's not contrasty. It's not in your face. And I grew to love that and appreciate that.
Well, there are portions where you do need an LCD television to actually truly appreciate it, because even the opening parts, you wouldn't realize there's a background really if you're playing on handheld.
Yeah.
And it's daylight out.
Yeah.
That screen just isn't bright enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a system that's 5 years old at this point too. It feels like it came out just yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's running on what? Android hardware?
Yeah. I would be curious to play this on the Series X. My experience on any games that you can play on the Xbox or the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox is going to have, the Xbox or PlayStation will have the edge. Although this game, I don't know if there would be much of a difference. It looks fascinating. It looks perfect from what I could see, but
there aren't really loading times,
and there's not a lot of intense things happening, I would say graphic wise or anything. I mean, it's a simple looking game. It's
they do a very good job of populating the screen with just enough that it doesn't overcomplicate what you're dealing with. And I experienced no slowdown with this game. It almost runs just like a Flash game.
Yeah, I didn't have any moments of slowdown either.
There's no chug, and it makes me wonder what the base components of the game look like. If you take away the art style and stuff like that, what does it look like? It just intrigues me because
I mean, it's just a really well-designed game, and I think it's starts off gets to like a team of like 4 to 8 people, whatever it is. It starts growing, but what it boils down to is they know what they like for enemy design and gameplay, and I mean, what really works is how all of the enemies track and attack and move and run and piss you off because they blow up and they take 2 masks away. I think that they really know what they wanted to make and they delivered.
They know how to surprise you, and they keep adding surprises. Like you said, once you get to probably the halfway mark of the game is when you start getting all those crazy powers.
Yeah.
And that's where I actually found the most entertainment out of the game, because it was kind of like this feast of fortune. Like, you kept finding new places. Like, do you remember discovering the hive for the first time?
That one was the only place I didn't find naturally.
Oh, really? You had to look it up?
Because it is hidden.
It's very hidden, yeah.
Yeah, and there are a large number of breakable walls that sometimes the floor, it's a little more telegraphed because you'll see it like just quiver a little bit, just shake. But on those ones where it's on the wall, unless you're kind of swinging at stuff and happen to see it, I wouldn't have known. But something useful does happen when you defeat the collector later on, and then your map gets activated to show where all of the grubs are. And then just seeing where the grubs are, that's off in just in a big black void area. I don't know what the fuck, how to get there. So
you're just literally just stabbing the ground wherever you go.
Yeah. The hive was striking, but that was one of those locations that it looked different on the original release, and they gave it a graphical upgrade on, I think it was Lifeblood maybe. Yeah, I think it was Lifeblood. Because I started playing this year, so the Voidheart edition, it's got all 4 updates built into it, and
I don't know if I have all of that.
It's seamless, which is nice. It's not like enter DLC lands now, or there's a little thing that takes you somewhere else. Like, this is in certain games you can't, like Cuphead, you can't just all of a sudden start populating the islands with more bosses. But this one, there was no easy way to tell, this is part of this DLC, because a lot of it was they fine-tuned bosses. They changed, like they added attacks for certain bosses, which is really cool. New charms.
I wonder if that's even a version I played.
I'm not sure. I don't know if the updates, how much they even cost when they came out, or if they were free. Some of them might have been free, but
maybe there was one that I had to pay for. I don't know.
I think if there was paid DLC, it would have been Grim Troop, or
I have played the Grim Troop.
Yeah, and God Seeker or God Master, whatever that is. That one, I could see that being paid DLC. But the other 2 are like so minor, I don't think they would.
Okay. Yeah, probably not. I don't know. I know I got a lot of content out of it.
Yeah. Charms are essentially going to be your equipment. You buy charms, you find charms, you have charm notches. You can only have so many charms equipped.
Yep.
And allows customization. Like, let's say you pull up your map. You don't see your guy unless you have the charm, the Wayward Compass on there.
Yeah.
Which I almost always had it on just for the ease of pulling up the map. I also got away with it.
First exploring, I would do that.
I got away without having it for a long time, but it is very useful when you're like moving through an area. I don't necessarily love the way the maps work.
Yeah.
When you go to a new location, you'll hear this wonderful humming. And you have to buy the map from Cornifer.
But if you can't find Cornifer, he sells it for a higher price with his wife, right?
Oh, does he? I didn't know that. I was able to find him, I think, in most instances.
If you miss him and you get a little too far into the map and you can't find him,
he'll just leave a little note there.
His wife will sell it to you.
Yeah. Buffinata. Which I'm like, I know you're upset at your job because I've been there, lady. I get it. But one thing I don't like is you can get to a new location, you pull up your map, it's like you can't look at it.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, just show me where I've at least gotten to because I've explored that. And then when you die or go like find a bench and sit down, then your map updates then. Yeah, it doesn't just update as you're exploring.
It just doesn't populate on its own. That's interesting. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
That can be annoying. And there are like the grove. I'm sorry, like the forested area.
Green Path.
Green Path, man, I got so lost in Green Path. Mm-hmm. It is not a very intuitive place because it looks so similar to everything else around it.
Yeah.
That I kept getting lost. And there was a time where I'm like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to progress.
Yeah.
And eventually you get it, but I don't know. I thought the visual design was confusing. Enemy placements, I don't know. It just didn't vibe with me.
Yeah. And then there's also fast travel at the stag stations.
I love the stag.
The old stag is a very good character.
I love him. He's so cool. What a great design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the animation of him running. And that was added in a DLC as well. They made it longer and skippable. So if you don't want to watch it, you can. But that sometimes I'll get to the end of a stagway and I'll just like stop to look at my phone and there's just the sound of him. And Carly's in the other room like, what the fuck is going on in there?
Carly has to listen to you play a lot of video games.
A lot of weird games. Yeah. They also added another fast travel option in the first DLC.
Wait, what?
Called the Dream Gate, which I didn't do that ever. I didn't do it once, but you know, when you do the big dream nail, which is your special nail you get through there, if you hold up while you're doing it, you drop a gate and then you can be anywhere else on the map. And if you hit the dream nail and hold down, it'll take you to that dream gate that you left. So you can leave it anywhere.
Fuck?
Yeah, it's a new fast travel option. I've
never done it.
I didn't use it once either. I don't know if it just wasn't properly explained, but eventually it's like, I'm already almost done with the game before I realized it was really a viable thing.
Yeah. I think the stags are fine.
The stags work well enough. If you really want to get anywhere in the map, you can get there within 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's deceptively big. It's deceptively, how do you describe it? It's deceptively an actually pretty small map, but there's just a lot of density.
It seems like you're going a long way, but really it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a stag ride away.
Yep.
Yeah. So you start the game off in Dirtmouth as the knight. You go down in the Forgotten Crossroads. At the beginning, yeah, you can only attack, you can jump.
Yep.
And one thing I think this game does very well is that it's pretty good at showing like I can't jump up there. You see Hornet does a dash to get somewhere. You're like, well, I can't do that. And so you're trying to follow a character and you have to get a different attack to get up there. Mm-hmm. It's very good at the beginning because the first thing you have to do is first you have to get your Hadouken attack, your Vengeful Spirit. Mm-hmm. And there's a boss, or like not a boss, an enemy you can't get past. You get close and it just covers up. So you need to attack it from a distance. You go with that Hadouken spell and there's only one place you can go. And that's the only option for getting there. Mm-hmm. And then
it shows you how your energy isn't just your health replenishing, it's also your mana, just in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you go and you fight Hornet, and then she'll give you the dash. And there's really not a lot of options for ways you can go at first. You're going to have to defeat the false knight to get the city crest. Otherwise, you can't get in the City of Tears. A lot of it's straightforward at first before it opens up.
The dash is the most effective tool in boss fights, I found. I didn't see much of a use of it for traveling and traversal until you get the mantis hooks. Then the dash actually made sense to me because there was a lot of sections where you were doing like Ninja Gaiden wall jumps all the way through. But at first I'm just like, oh, this is just useful in boss fights to dodge heavier attacks.
Yeah. As far as exploring, you can just jump a little further. It doesn't really do much.
It's a jump and then a dash, and then like maybe you can go a little bit further.
You do see tons of areas though where it's like I can't jump up that high. Yeah. There's clearly something up there, or this acid water, and clearly I can't get through the acid water to the other side. And then your mind is just making these little notes. Eventually, though, it does open up kind of after you get to the City of Tears, and you get the Desolate Dive where you just slam the ground.
I love the Desolate Dive.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And after you get that, then you really have a few options. You can go down to the Royal Waterways if you want.
That's one of my favorite sections in the game. With those weird worms.
Oh, and the Dung Defender.
I love the Dung Defender.
Boo! Agglomera! Ha! Fafunda! Doma!
He is one of my favorite voice actors for the game for sure. Just pounding his chest and throwing dung. He's got a good energy to him.
I wonder if Elden Ring thought of the Dung Eater or the Dung Eater and kind of hint kind of knew.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Dung Eater, his name is misleading because he doesn't just eat dung, the loathsome Dung Eater. He's more just about I am going
to defile.
It's like trying to say that the worst things on the internet is 2 girls, 1 cup, when the Dung Eater represents all of the worst things on the internet, not just eating dung.
Well, you know that was fake, right?
Yeah. But I'm just saying the dung. I've never seen it, but
you've never seen 2 Girls, 1 Cup?
No.
Oh, give it a watch, listeners. Come on.
Knowing it's a studio production makes me want to maybe check it out.
It's just like ice cream, I think. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But they're definitely just eating ice cream from the butt. I'm pretty sure.
Just like our favorite Dung Defender.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why the Dung Defender, and I'm sure there's lore essays and videos like, why is the Dung Defender defending the royal waterways?
I wonder.
Like and subscribe. I put a lot of effort into my content, and don't miss any updates on the Dung Defender lore part 2.
Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
And now back to the show after we talk about sunglasses.
Oh my God.
Do you like mobile games?
The branded content, I swear to God. What is it? Raid Shadow Legends?
Raid Shadow Legends.
That was big for a while.
Me personally, I'm a level 17 Raid Shadow. I'm the Orc Shadow. He's my friend. You could even play with me if you check it out. Use my code. Back to the content.
Yeah. Every YouTuber loves Raid Shadow Legends.
They're big fans. It's not because they were paid.
It's not because they were paid. I wonder how well that game does. I'm going to look that up. It's very important for me to know this right now.
You know, it's funny how much you hear people talk about those games, but I've never heard of anyone actually playing them.
You know, they're not made for us. They're made for... I wonder if anyone ever downloaded it and was just like, I get to play with PewDiePie? Oh my God.
He said he's on there. I could play with him. Also in the Forgotten Crossroads, there's some important merchants you'll want to run into. Sly the Shopkeeper is down there, and he is already kind of half infected with like orange eyes, but he'll wake up if you tell him to. And then he moves to Dirtmouth, where he will sell you charms, mask shards, vessel fragments, and most importantly, a simple key and a Lumafly lantern.
Oh, I love him.
Yes, the Lumafly lantern will be necessary. I guess if you I mean, it'd be almost impossible to not have it, but it's going to light up some dark areas. And the simple key, there's 4 of them in the game. Only one of them is available for purchase, and they unlock 4 different things. Did you know to the right of Dirtmouth, there's that hut you can unlock with the simple key? It's got Confessor Iji in there, and kind of reminds me of Warmaster Iji from Elden Ring. I think it's the same name. But in return, if your shade has like a lot of geo and it's far away, you can pay this guy a rancid egg and he'll just return your geo and your shade to you, which is kind of cool.
Really?
I didn't know that until afterwards. Every time I go in, he's like, "You don't need me."
I might have seen this guy. I must have. If I'm at 100%, I probably saw most of this stuff.
Yeah, with all the DLCs, you can get up to 112%.
Yeah,
and I was surprised to learn percentages are not based on map completion at all.
No.
Which is interesting. I normally you'd expect that from games like this. But also down there, you can find Salubra. She is a big, juicy bug lady. And she's like, oh. And if you get all 4, she sells charms and charm notches. You can't get the last item from her, Salubra's Blessing, unless you have all 40 charms.
Yep.
And then you go there, and she's like, oh. and there's this great animation of her giving you a big juicy kiss.
Oh yeah, I got that. Yep.
And then whenever you sit at benches, it also replenishes all your soul as well, your essence, whatever that is. Your white juice.
Your white juice.
Your white juice. And if you die, I didn't know this at first, until you collect your shade, you can only get half of your juice filled.
What?
Your little like juice meter is broken and it won't go up past the halfway point.
Oh yeah, there's a crack that runs through it, right?
Yep. I didn't realize
that's a mechanic. That is actually that's actually a decent way to punish people in death. One of the like older Souls games used to be a lot more unforgiving.
Yeah.
They would actually like deeply punish you for dying. Like I think in Demon Souls, you only have half your health.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We are going to take a quick break to hear from some of the other amazing shows from the HyperX Podcast Network, and we'll be right back. We're going to discuss Hollow Knight a little bit more, and we're going to talk about the lore.
About the lore.
And how I didn't pay attention to it. Be right back.
Some hanging out here.
We brought a couple of bottles home. Though they had like 12 bottles of wine for the event. I'm like, you're a plant store with a small artist here. Are you planning on getting everyone fucking drunk right now? Because I'm in. I mean, I'm in for it, but...
How much wine do you think you drank?
I didn't... I mean, I mostly... There's PBRs upstairs, so... At the plant store, so I drank a lot of PBRs first, but...
Okay.
I had probably 3 glasses of wine before I had a full pint glass at home. We watched Black Phone last night, which was pretty good.
I hear a lot of good things about it.
It's not a good horror movie because it's not really a horror movie, but it is a good movie.
Okay.
I didn't find it too spoopy though.
Okay.
Hey everyone, we're back. Welcome to Hollow Knight discussions with the Raw Dogs, Dylan and Brad, and we're gonna keep going here. We're gonna keep talking about this. There are a lot of characters in this game that get super hyped on the internet that people just love. Like the character of Zote, I think I might have let him die. He's like, this does environmental storytelling very well. And in the
Don't you go into his dream and fight him where he's like a superhero?
You can, but there are things that have to happen first. Otherwise that's not going to be available.
Oh, so you missed out on it.
I think I did. What's I think cool about this is the world is kind of living and breathing in the style of a Bloodborne or something like that, where
characters pop in and out.
If you don't save Zote once in Green Path and then once again in City of Tears, and you don't save Breda wherever she is, and then you have to defeat Zote in the Colosseum of Fools, and then he moves up to Dirtmouth and Breda gets a crush on him, and you enter Breda's dream. Because it's how she imagines.
Oh, right. She's the chubby little pill bug, right?
She is. She's adorable. And Zote, in the Colosseum of Fools, you fight him, and he sucks. Mm-hmm. He's just like this little, like, laughable guy that can't even hit you. But in her dream, he is the Grey Prince Zote. And the more you fight him, there's more moves and adjectives added. It'll be like the illustrious Grey Prince Zote. And then eventually there's like 10 adjectives, the almighty, all-powerful, super great Prince Zote. Like the more you fight him, and I think I read if you beat him like 75 times, you get a new menu unlocked.
What?
If you want. But he also gets tougher every time you fight him. This is just one of the cases though where there's so many characters and little interactions that I don't think I got a lot out of.
I think that the lore of this is what? Essentially that there's like this radiant moth god that essentially infects people and gives them and makes them insane, right?
Okay, we'll do the lore here. We'll do the
lore.
Okay. The knight arrives in Dartmouth. It's a quiet town above the remains of Hallownest. Through exploring this, you discover Hallownest was once a flourishing kingdom which fell to ruin after the infection, a supernatural disease that drove the citizens to madness and undeath. A long time ago, the void was like the god, like the oldest one was just the void which was there, that big blackness.
Which is what you're made out of.
Now, I don't have this written down. I'm going from some videos I've read, some of this, but I know that the moths were worshiping the radiance. And the radiance is the infection that winds up spreading to people. I think it might partially be spreading, though, because of how the Pale King, locked it away.
Sure.
So the radiance was a god that existed. The ruler, though, was the Pale King. The Pale King was a giant worm. And then you actually go into the husk to get the king's crest. You go inside like the grabloid.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cool looking. But the Pale King kind of created all of this. And I think with the Pale King's rule, something about the way he ruled brought sentience and like civilization to the bugs.
Well, I think worms were inherently sentient, right?
They had oppressions to them or something like that.
Yeah. Like they were just higher evolved, something like that.
Yeah. In ancient times, many of the creatures worshiped the radiance, a primordial moth-like being who could control the minds of other bugs. The Pale King used his power to give sapience to the creatures. The creatures then revered and worshipped the Pale King, which drained power from the radiance. Some, however, still worship the radiance, allowing her to remain alive in the dream realm. She existed in the dreams.
Most importantly, in the Hollow Knight himself.
Well, the radiance began appearing to people in their dreams, poisoning their mind with the infection. So by the radiance having to exist in the land of dreams, it started to infect people's minds and make them kind of go cuckoo bananas, as one would say.
Well, it's kind of weird. This infection, is it an actual disease? Because it just looks like it. It's, I guess I don't understand what it actually is.
Well, I don't know if it's like a physical, I mean, it manifests as a physical disease, but it comes from the existence of a god-like being in the dreams that is perforating the world and society and getting into everyone's minds and making them.
It's definitely very abstract. Yeah. I like that though.
Yeah. It's like on the surface, like, oh, there's a disease. But if you know like where it comes from, the Pale King though wanted to get rid of the radiance and use an ancient power called Void to create vessels, creatures that could trap the infection within their bodies. So you learn this if first you have to, I mean, this is getting into ending stuff. You have to go see the white lady, the pale lady, whatever her name is, and she gives you half of the king's charm. Then you have to collect enough dream essence to get your dream nail awoke. Yep. It's hashtag awoken dream nail. The dream nail becomes awoken and allows you to enter dreams of even more dead beings. You have to go into the White Palace, which is Super Meat Boy. Fucking did not like that.
I got pissed. Yeah. I know I definitely almost threw my Joy-Cons against the wall a couple times. My ex was constantly like, Dylan, why are you yelling? And it's just me going, fuck! Yeah. Fuck! Because it's very unforgiving. There are sequences that are very long, and each of them are like their own separate puzzles to get through. So if you die, you're just right at the beginning again. And it's insane. I don't know why they made the place like this. Just saws everywhere. Do you think they were just bored and they wanted to make the palace?
I think that's created for gameplay rather than for lore purposes. Yeah. I understand the Pale King, he saw that what he was doing wasn't working, so he just disappeared. He's like, I'm going to escape in the land of dreams. And I think it's because it's his dream castle that he probably dreamed like, there's going to be 1,000 saws in my dream. No, it didn't physically exist, but in his mind, that was the perfect fortress or something. I beat it. Like I found it difficult and punishing, but I think my biggest issue was after playing Celeste to death 50 times. Yeah. Anything that's not twitchy, ultra responsive platforming and wall jumping the way that I think it should be. Right. Anything that isn't that perfect. And while Hollow Knight is a great platformer, I don't think it's quite to the level of Celeste.
It's not what I would call like, he doesn't have a delay, but he has more of like a,
he's got to hit the wall for longer than I want him to before he can jump off of it. Yeah. And I had multiple.
And you've got to make sure to click in on the stick to then move back out. Whereas in other games like Celeste, it'll hit the wall for you if you're grabbing, and then you can just do it.
The number of times I thought I should have jumped off a wall and it didn't happen was frustrating, but I got through it. But the main point is, though, after you get that, you get the King Soul charm, and you're able to go down into the bottom of the entire game, into the abyss.
I love that part.
That's where all of the vessels are created. You'll find a lot of just the shades down there because the vessels died and they didn't get out. But whatever vessels, you get to see the scene, whatever vessels do escape, that's where the Hollow Knight came from. That's where Zote came from. That's where I think maybe Zote did, maybe not. That's where you come from.
Yeah, and Zote must be.
But Zote's got parents, though. So maybe there are other bugs that just look like you, but it seems odd that he's so much like you.
Yeah.
But the Pale King used the ancient power called the Void to create the vessels, and most of the vessels were unable to contain it and were abandoned in the abyss. Some vessels escaped. One being the Knight, the Pale King chose the most suitable vessel, deemed the Hollow Knight. They contained both the infection and the radiance and were sealed in the Temple of the Black Egg. Radiance persisted inside of the vessel, and so it was sealed with the Dreamers. 3 people that, like, I don't know, they are cursed to be asleep and seal the egg, and like by killing them in their dreams, the egg will open up. But you can't get into the Temple of the Black Egg without killing the Dreamers because they are like sealing the door.
Which bosses were those?
They're not bosses. You don't actually fight any of the Dreamers.
I don't remember.
You fight guards to them.
Yeah, the Dreamers.
The Watcher Knights guard one of them. The Traitor Lord guards one of them, I believe. One of them is just like Uamu. And that one you have to fight in the Teacher's Archives. That's where Quirrell joins you in the fight, and it's just like the thing that just shoots electricity around. And
I like that one.
yeah, that was an okay one. It was fun. There's a few instances where you can have homies join you in battles, which is cool.
Hera the Beast, Lurien the Watcher, and Manamon the Teacher.
Yeah. So the Knight's mission is to find and kill the 3 Dreamers who act as living seals on the temple door, allowing the Knight to confront the source of the infection. Hornet is a warrior who works with or in competition of you. I believe she is the Pale Lady's daughter or something.
Yeah.
I should have looked more of that up. Hornet,
I don't know.
Hornet's getting her own DLC, and that trailer looks amazing. Her movement looks fantastic.
It looks fun. Yeah. And Hornet is probably my favorite character in the game, for reference, so I'm really glad they're using her.
I might go Dung Defender.
You think Dung Defender?
Ah! Just pounds his chest. He just got so much good energy. Hornet is, wonderful. You can't not like Hornet. And I love...
She wields it even though she doesn't really have arms.
And her, like, nail with the string attached to it, like it's like a giant kunai or something.
Neato!
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, the City of Tears, there's Ancient Basin, there's Kingdom's Edge, Royal Waterway. The Deep Nest really stuck out to me as a location.
I found it annoying. It's basically like an anthill.
Yeah, in a bad way, in a really bad way.
Because there are a lot of drop-offs and tricks, and I don't know, man. I just found the full thing annoying. It's not even fun to look at.
No, and I remember getting there and immediately thinking, this is just that area that's tough and people don't like being there.
Yeah.
I did love the end of it when you get to the distant village and there's a bench surrounded by a bunch of people and like, yeah, take a seat. And you sit down and they all just move in and like you get tied up by a spider. That was a great little trap.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I really like the Infected Knight, the Infected Hollow Knight. I'm looking right here.
The broken vessel.
Yeah, he's one you face in Deep Nest, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And he's got a few phases. I don't remember.
No, you fight him in the Ancient Basin just to the left of the tramway.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then killing him unleashes the plague, right?
Killing him gives you the... Not the Shade Cloak. That gives you the double jump, the Monarch Wings you get from the Broken Vessel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like the way that despite not knowing what was going on story-wise most of the time, the game was fun and made sense. I didn't need to know what was going on to enjoy the game. At some point, though, I noticed there was just like a big enemy symbol right in the Temple of the Black Egg. And I looked, eventually just realized, oh, that's the final boss. Like, I get that.
Yep.
That gets added at one point. And then also when you get to the resting grounds and you see the statues of the three dreamers.
Yeah.
And then those all get added. And I'm like, okay, so those are I get it. Like, defeat those things and then the Black Egg, because you go back to Black Egg and there's just like the three seals on there. I'm like, I get it. I understand. One issue not even an issue. A lot of people have said, you get to the end of the game. You've defeated the three dreamers and you get to the Hollow Knight and you beat the Hollow Knight. And I felt satisfied. I was like, that was a good game. I don't need more. But then, of course, I noticed at the end when my eyes go all fucking flame and chaos.
Yeah.
I said, that's not the good ending.
No, it's not.
That's definitely, and yeah, it was a Richter Belmont scenario is what I could immediately tell. I'm like, when the Hollow Knight started just stabbing itself violently, I'm like, this seems like something else is happening.
Shaft.
Just, and that's when if you want the second ending, you have to go get the two halves of the King's Charm.
Yep.
You have to turn it into the Void Heart, go to the bottom of the Abyss, and that's you also get the Shade Dash down there to get to certain areas. But
now I liked that they added this second element. It's for people who really want to have more of it. Like I had the benefit of knowing that there was more to do before dealing with the Hollow Knight himself.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, I'm just going to explore every corner. And eventually I got everything I needed to fulfill the quest line, but it took me probably an extra 6 hours.
Well, yeah. And what you have to do is you have to fight the Traitor Lord, go to the Pale Lady. You have to go, and the one of the biggest things is you need 1,800 Dream Essence to get your Dream Nail awoken. And to do that, there's those little like whispering trees where they'll shoot little essences around one room and you go collect them. Or you have to fight Warrior Dreams or like Dream Boss variations, which are like ultra hard versions of bosses you fought.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was fun.
There's like 2,600 possible essence and you have to get 1,800.
It's not hard.
And I liked that. I liked most of it. It made me have to get good on some things. Because I was able to on some of the early bosses, like the False Knight, fucking I could lay down and beat that guy.
Yeah.
His hard version though, I'm like, okay, pay attention.
Yeah.
And some of them were easy, fight them again. They're just faster versions of the previous ones if you know their patterns.
And your toolkit at this point is much more full. So double jump, you've got your dash. Makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah. I personally didn't use a lot of nail arts. There are a lot of like different attacks you can do. I use the Hadouken sometimes, but there's also like the big like upper attack.
Yeah, I do that one a lot.
But then after you get your Dream Nail awoken, you have to go to the White Palace. You have to do those like very challenging Super Meat Boy Saw things. And after that, you do all these things. You go down and get the Void Heart. Then you have to fight the Hollow Knight. Hornet jumps in, ties him up and says...
use the Dream Nail.
And you have to use a Dream Nail on them. You can also let Hornet try and hold it and not use the Dream Nail. And then that's the second ending is where she gets knocked out. And then you still become the Hollow Knight with her inside.
Oh, yeah.
And she becomes a Dreamer Seal. And so she's like the Dreamer Seal on the door, but she's trapped inside. So no one will ever be able to wake her up.
Oh, yeah. I did watch that. And I'm like, that's really terrifying.
That's so much worse.
Yeah.
Then if you enter the Hollow Knight's dream, you fight the Radiance. Which
I didn't find it that hard.
I agree. A lot of people say the Radiance was insanely difficult. To me, I'm like, I play bullet hell games. I know how to dodge a lot of projectiles.
And it's very fair at how it dishes out its radial spells. You can work your way past it. At this point, you have so many options available for movement that I don't know how I beat it first try.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And that'll get you the third ending where... Here, I actually wrote down a little description of what it all means because it's very, very serious. You defeat the Radiance and You disappear. Hornet waits for you as you've returned to the void. Yeah, so you're gone. The radiance is gone, and you are part of the void again.
Your purpose fulfilled, and you
So,
just go back, which is really interesting.
A number of people are fine with just beating the Hollow Knight, and great. I think that's awesome. And if you want more story and more difficulty and to explore the world more, it's there. And I do like the second, and well, I don't like the second ending, but I like the third ending where you fight the Radiance. I think that's cool. And whereas I thought the White Palace, I didn't love the design of all of it. I understand, this is the platforming challenge, but
I guess, did you feel satisfied after beating it? Did you feel like a sense of accomplishment? Because that's what video games are in general.
Yeah.
Like being annoyed by it's one thing, but if you felt good about it afterwards, that's always kind of a good signifier.
yeah. I felt better afterwards. And I would have, looking back on it, used different charms. There's like one charm that very slowly replenishes your health. I'm like, you just bring that and you just wait long enough and you can just keep trying. But there is also the Path of Pain in the White Palace, which is behind a hidden wall. And that is the ultra hard version of...
I don't think I did that.
No. I didn't do it either. I did some of it today just because I was curious. And then I died and didn't use a bench except for like halfway away from the White Palace. I said, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
But if you beat that, you get a scene of the Pale King and the Hollow Knight talking, or at least just hanging out before the Hollow Knight wound up putting the radiance inside of him.
Did I do it?
You might have watched a scene anyways.
I might have. It's possible.
But, okay, so I'm fine with all of this. And then the DLC comes out. We're just going to jump right to the Godmaster DLC for this discussion. It's just boss rush mode, essentially.
Yeah.
You
go to this place, and I don't know if I did all of it.
No, I would be surprised if you did.
I just didn't feel like it.
Well, even if I felt like it, it's tough. Yeah. To beat to get the best ending in the game, you have to do a boss rush mode with ultra hard versions of all 42 bosses.
No,
and you have to do them in a row. If you die to one, it's like at least like 50-minute long series of fights. And Nightmare King Grim, the ultra hard version of the Grim Troop guy, he's tough. He took me about an hour.
I don't think I beat him.
He took me about an hour yesterday, just him, and it was a miracle getting through that guy, and let alone doing all of that and then still having to fight the Absolute Radiance, which is the ultra hard version of the Radiance.
Nope. I'm not going to do it. Give people the content for that, but it's the same reason I don't like Super Mario Maker games. Like, I don't get a joy out of facing down hard levels just that are hard to be hard.
Yeah.
Like, I like game design. I like deliberate options and availabilities. And that just seems to me to be like, why would you punish yourself?
And
what do people get out of it? Just the sense of
the best ending of the game is locked behind it. There's ending 4 and 5, which were added with the Godmaster DLC. So both of them involve beating all 42 bosses. The only difference is there's a character who gives you a delicate flower, and if you carry it across the entire
I did that.
Well, there's many spots you can take the delicate flower.
Okay.
Originally, you're supposed to take it to the grave of her child, but if you take it to the God Seeker where the God Home is, then you get a different ending. If you haven't given the God Seeker a flower, you beat the Absolute Radiance, and the Void becomes a god. Like, you become a god.
Oh,
and
cool.
There's like a scene of the Void just like taking over the landscape, and then it cuts to Hornet standing like by the Black Egg and some weird figures approaching her. And then the other one is if you've given the delicate flower and defeated everything, the Void and the Radiance and the God Seeker and everything just disappears, and there's just a flower there. So I think it's very much like all the gods are gone.
Erasure.
Yep. It's just the world as it is.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's also a secret ending, which I was surprised to look at today, which is more of a joke ending. There's a character named Mr. Mushroom, which is only available after you've beaten almost everything. He starts showing up in weird places. If you see him enough, you get a weird like coda at the end, like after the credits, of Mr. Mushroom flying through the sky, and it says "to be continued."
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's okay.
I've seen Mr. Mushroom, right?
Yeah, look him up. You'd recognize him for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the different endings. I personally didn't fuck around with the Godmaster content. There's also the Hidden Dreams content, which adds 2 new bosses. This was the first DLC. It added White Defender, the Hidden Dung Defender variant, and Grey Prince Zote. It also adds the Hidden Station, a Secret Stag Station, and the Dream Gate for fast travel.
I'm not going to lie. Did I see this ending?
Mr. Mushroom? No, Mr. Mushroom's a tough ending. I think you also have to beat the Absolute Radiance to get it. And
no.
Yeah.
I love him, though. I love his dumb nose.
Lifeblood was another DLC that they just added 1 boss, and it's just kind of a real general just cleaning up of stuff. To me, the only DLC I really care about is Grim Troop.
Yeah.
It's got new characters, it's got new quests, and it's got great music and the most badass boss fight. I thought the Nightmare King Grim...
I don't think I fought him.
Yeah, he was great. It was a very tough boss fight, and maybe my favorite music in the game, despite having to do it a billion times. And then you have the end game if you want more stuff to do. Steel Soul mode is unlocked. 1 life, single elimination. You die.
That upsets me just thinking about it.
And then there's, of course, one of the achievements is beat Steel Soul mode and Absolute Radiance. And I don't want none of that.
Nope.
Coliseum of Fools is a fun little Coliseum. It's actually really well designed.
I like it too. It's a bit of like you get a series of different mob encounters, essentially.
Yep.
And you just have to use the tools at your disposal to take care of them. Some of them are kind of difficult.
And I love the way the arena changes on it, too. Keeps you on your toes. I broke down the 112 percentages. If you wanted to get 112% in this game, which is all of them, bosses count for 14. All the charms is 36. Coliseum of Fools will be 3%. Like you get 1 percentage for each time, each one of those things you beat. All the way down to Grim Troop will give you 6%. Silk Song was announced February 14th, 2019.
Yeah.
Hornet was originally going to be a second playable character in the original game, but it expanded into a full game. Not long ago, it was announced that it's coming to Game Pass when it launches, and Xbox confirmed in a tweet it would be available within the next 12 months. So before June 12th, 2023.
I want it. I want to inject it straight into my blood.
I have a feeling Hornet's moveset will be a lot more fun to jump around, and like it's a little more varied, I think. A little less classic style.
Well, what's cool is it's also a direct sequel to Hollow Knight. I wonder what they're going to do about
I don't know
that.
if it's a direct sequel.
It's a direct sequel.
Have they said
she goes off on her own?
I could see it also being
a prequel.
I don't know. I could also see it be Hornet doing something during the events of the main game. I don't know if they've said or not. I haven't looked into it. You could be right.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm just going to make sure so we're not.
Yeah, talking out of our booties.
Song. Hollow Knight.
I would say that Hollow Knight is maybe the most well-designed Metroidvania I have played. I thought the gatekeeping, the way that they kind of lock you out of certain areas is great. And to me, this just made me realize why I didn't like Metroid Dread as much. It just kind of hammered the point home where I thought that the way that always kind of funneled you in certain directions in Metroid Dread, I don't think it handled the exploration as well. Whereas this, I think it's the moments you're lost feel good, and you always kind of have a few things you're ready to check out.
Well, Dread still does the thing where there are tiles. They're just hidden tiles, and they don't really tell you. So they're just expecting you to like blast walls and get rid of things, and I don't know. It's outdated game design, but truly, I give Dread a bit of a pass because
the combat's fun.
Dread was not made for new to Metroid players.
Yeah,
it was made for the fans. Honestly, because it's literally called Dread, and they announced that like a million years ago,
like 2013 or something crazy.
So it's I give it a pass. Something like Hollow Knight, though, I don't know. They borrow from so many different things.
Yeah.
In Metroid Dread 2, honestly, there's not a lot of exploration in Metroid Dread. There is kind of a linear path.
I was watching a video comparing Ori and the Will of the Wisps and the Blind Forest to Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought about Ori since I played both of them, not maybe a year ago.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps is still probably my favorite Metroidvania.
Yeah, I love the world design there. The combat feels very weak in Will of the Wisps though. And I watched videos because Will of the Wisps got a lot of flack. I found out about this not long ago. A lot of flack because they said you ripped off what worked in Hollow Knight. And I'm like, you're going down a slippery slope. You're trying to say like Hollow Knight took things from other games and they took things from other games. But one thing that did bother me was the creator of Ori and the Will of the Wisps was just talking. The way he talked about Hollow Knight, he's like, well, we wanted to make like a really good platformer, and Hollow Knight doesn't do that. And Hollow Knight, he was talking a lot of shit about Hollow Knight, and I was like, dude, don't do that.
Don't step on toes, man.
No, and it's like
you're both in the same genre. Like,
well, I didn't realize too that like Will of the Wisps does straight up have the hold a button to heal your health. A lot of that, and if it works in one game, another game can do it too, and it doesn't mean you're ripping off a game. I don't know. I had
do you know how many Zelda clones are out there? It's just
if you were making a game that is a Metroidvania, that means you are directly referencing or using things that worked before. I don't know. It was funny to me that people were in a tizzy about it.
There are so many games that borrow from other things, and it's so dumb that like we wouldn't have racing like this. Forza Horizon 5 is stealing from the
super derivative Forza Horizon 4.
Dude, I drive a car. It stole from me,
dude. I always use my gas pedal when I drive, dude. And that's what they do in that game. I'm just saying.
Oh, shit, dude.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say about Hollow Knight. I'm excited for Silksong. I thought the game was great. I don't think it's perfect, but I like that it kind of gives you more content and challenge if you want it.
Yeah, I think I have really not a lot of bad things to say about this game. I was actually worried at first it would just be me going like, yeah, but it's fucking awesome. And it would just be me saying that the entire time. Like even talking to you, I'm like, there are times I remember being just frustrated and a little lost, and those things are worth the critique that we're giving them. But as a solid like product, I paid $20 for this. This could have been a $60 game, and I still feel like I got my value. I got my value option from it.
Yeah,
and it's like when I play like Cuphead or whatever too. I'm like, this could have been a $60 game if they wanted it to be.
Yeah,
but they gave it the right price point. Yeah. So
and there are other games where it's like I don't feel that you're worth $70. No. Almost every game that comes out, I'm like, you're not worth $70.
Yeah. I'll tell you, like recently, the only games I've felt where I'm being respected as a consumer, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. For the first time, I bought a Kirby game that actually I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I spent $60 on this. And also, I got Live Alive.
I'm excited to play that when you're done, and I'm excited to play that at a casual pace where I don't have to hit a certain deadline for an episode.
It is a 30-hour RPG experience.
Sounds fun.
It honestly is a fucking blast.
Yeah.
It's good. I really enjoy it.
It looks cute.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's one of the things I also like about indie games is that the value proposition is so much more elegant. It feels like the developers really care, and they're just like, well, we just want it out. We want to make sure people play this game. We're gonna charge this much. They're more generous.
Yeah,
is how I would describe it, and they respect your time because those make the best games.
Yeah,
are the ones that respect your time and energy. Like Elden Ring, even like that's worth way more than $60 in my opinion.
Yeah,
but the value proposition is just so high based on the content.
I've gotten at least 150 hours of content from Elden Ring. So break that up by 60, it's definitely worth my time.
Yeah.
2.5 hours per dollar or whatever it winds up being so far.
Well, and it's proving time and time again that these larger corporations who are just trying to bleed you dry are just making bad games now. They're annoying you with more options on top of the thing you just bought.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. Do you know how many times I just want to play Forza Horizon 5 and just dick around? But then I get pop-ups where it's like, get the Hot Wheels DLC and this and this and this. And then like there's you can buy the car straight up if you want to.
Or I just want to customize my car and then I choose a thing and they're like, oh, that's $2.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
And it's so much clutter.
Yeah.
And if I pay $60 for something, I don't want to have to think about spending more money.
I almost think that all of those games should just have a simple mode, advanced mode, or expert mode, where it's just the level of customization you can go to in those things.
Do you think they would? Do you think? But then,
because to me, when I play those games, let me choose a car, let me choose a location. I don't know about customizing cars, so I don't need to look at all that, and it's overwhelming and pushes me away from a game. Whereas if it just says, "Ooh, red car, L.A.," I get it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the part of it too. I'm like, how much is this actually improving things? Like, I'm like, do car go much faster?
Well, and I'm sure for people that
do the car go fast if I put this in here?
Well, then there's gearheads though that they'll put a different tire on, and they're like, I can tell, like it definitely controls differently with these different tires.
Right, but save that for the regular Forza. Forza Horizon is supposed to be an arcade racer.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's like, just have a bunch of different cars, and the cars are just going to be what they are.
We're here at the end of Indie Games Month. We're going to go over some of the wonderful chat we've had on Discord. If you want to join us on Discord, you can go to patreon.com/hairthedogcast for pretty low prices, like $3 a month. You can join our Discord, get access to episodes early, and also bonus episodes. There's a lot of other great content on there, movie podcast, and a lot of things are after show. But so we're going to just go right into Hollow Knight. Phil said he jumped back in the game for this. The knockback when you hit enemies still throws him, but he loves the jump physics and how precisely the height of the jump scales with the length of the button press.
Yep.
And that's
a good observation. The nail bounce back is actually something I really enjoy.
And it's something that if you don't like, there's a charm, you can turn it off.
Yeah.
And it keeps you a little more on your toes. You can't just stand there and just whack to your heart's content.
Sometimes it gives you proper distance from enemies. Like if you hit them and you bounce back, sometimes you can avoid attacks easier doing that.
Yeah.
But I can see why it's a little weird.
When I inquired if anyone beat the Radiance or anything beyond that, Ryan said he's not that crazy/talented. Grinding and skill is too much of a requirement, and the good ending is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I agree with that sentiment. I don't need to torture myself for 3 days to beat the Absolute Radiance. I can just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've gotten all of the joy out of the game that I've wanted.
I'm not a completionist by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And there are so many RPGs I've played in my life where I literally get to the final boss and I'm like, I don't want it to be over. And so I don't let it happen.
Now, I couldn't do that.
I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
And I just don't care. I'm like, well, this boss, I know I can beat him because I've grinded for so long. But it's like I'm saving it for a rainy day, but I won't use it at all. It's like when you get a really nice, it's like in Final Fantasy when you get mega elixirs.
Yeah, so you never use them.
And then you never even use them even in the final boss battle because you were saving them for it.
Phil said he loves the game, but he got the bad ending and moved on. And Brian said he beat the Absolute Radiance, but he cheated. Good for you, Brian. That's fine. I think.
How did you cheat?
He played it on PC, I'm guessing, and he's able to do something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Yeah.
We also covered Cuphead. Josh said on the Discord it was a very kind game. His uncle loves it, but has never played it. For some reason, his uncle has glassware and shirts with Cuphead, but has never played the game, which I think is pretty funny.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
And Judge Tempest said Dr. Call was his favorite, enjoyed the airplane levels. Cuphead, loved that game. Didn't have a lot of discussion in the Discord about Disco Elysium. I know some people are getting back into the game, so maybe we'll hear more about it from there. But Disco Elysium is a game that I hear the ancient reptilian brain all the time now in my head.
Yeah.
Like, call into work.
Yeah.
Sleep in.
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
you should have another beer.
Oh,
wouldn't this be better if you were drunk? And I'm like, quiet you.
Your shoulder hurts. A beer will help. I actually have my girlfriend playing it because she's a reedy type, and I'm like, this is a funny game. Like, I'll watch you play it, just to see what you do.
You can learn a lot about someone by watching how they play that game.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot about her watching her play Elden Ring too.
Sure. I don't think I could get Carly to play Elden Ring for longer than 5 minutes. I don't think.
Yeah. It's interesting. It does really just break down to video games are a language.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the language, you're kind of fucked.
2 analog sticks are an entry point that a lot of people can't get around.
Yep.
Hades, Judge Tempest beat it twice, but he sucks at fishing. Ryan said he loaded Hades back up to get some runs in since he wanted to play it a bit before the episode. Cerberus is the bestest boy, and forgot how much he hated facing Meg. Said his favorite weapon was the Shield of Chaos. He got Hades to the last bit of health, and
the Shield of Chaos is really good.
And then the fucker came back with an extra health bar, which I think is the favorite point of the Hades boss fight. The first time he fucks you over.
Yeah.
And he beat Hades for the first time like a week ago with the Eternal Spear. So good for you, Ryan.
That return call for the spear is the coolest thing. Yeah. I wasn't on that episode, couldn't make it, but I love Hades.
Yeah.
I believe I got it when it first was a release game, and then it became my game of the year pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Dogcast game of the year was for that year though.
Not sure. You should check out our Hades episode. My buddy Miles is on.
Yeah.
And he was playing when it was in beta for a year. So he got to play it as they were updating the things. He was playing when character designs are still just blacked out portraits.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, he had a lot of unique things to say. I noticed looking back on our indie games from this month, we chose a lot of tough games. Hades, Cuphead, and Hollow Knight are all pretty challenging. Cuphead and Hades more so. At this point, though, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're challenging to me anymore because I've gotten used to them. But I think that they are more difficult. We didn't
really choose artsy games this time.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, disco maybe, but
they're artsy in different ways, but they are also extremely gamey. Most of them.
But you know what I'm talking about. There's this
Kentucky Route Zero, What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, it's the more
boss battles
experiences. Where we're with these, we're talking more about gameplay than anything and how the game functions. Where those games are mostly about the context of it being a story.
Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look forward to next year's because I'm hoping we can put a lot more artsy fartsy games in there.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. I don't always recommend those types of games to people. So I guess I'm going to have to really think about what we're going to put on that list.
Phil said Indie Games Month this year made him realize he's bad at video games. Hasn't beaten Hades or Cuphead.
Come on, man. It's okay. A lot of people don't beat Hades. It's a fun game though.
Yeah. And Kip said Indie Games Month has made him realize he has not played most of the best indie games. So I know he was going to be starting Hollow Knight up. So Indie Games Month for next year, I can go ahead and say my pick is Celeste.
Celeste. You're going to do Celeste.
I've beaten it a billion times on 3 different consoles, and it's a game that is in my top 10 games of all time, and I'm excited to talk about that next year.
I have controversial opinions on Celeste.
And that's good.
Yes. I don't know what I would choose. You know what? I'm going to have to really give this some thought. I'm going to choose a really kind of, I think, out of left field, interesting one that maybe doesn't take us a ton of time.
Sure.
So
I threw out a question on the Discord, and we got suggestions for Don't Starve and Death Trash.
Don't Starve is pretty good. I don't like games where you have to craft too much, though. That's like a survival game. Have you ever seen it before?
I looked up a little bit on this, and Death Trash had a pretty cool art style.
Death Trash? I've never even heard about that.
Ryan said he really enjoyed the game. Still in early access, though, so I don't know if that invalidates it. We'll see where it's at.
Maybe I might do Yoko's Island Express. I just thought about it.
That's like a pinball Metroidvania.
Pinball Metroidvania. It's dope.
Sounds cool.
It's really good.
So we're going to do our outro stuff here, but stick around because we're going to do a game ranking. I want to do a game ranking. So
Game ranking.
Hair the Dogcast, we exist because of people like you, so thanks for listening. If you have the chance to write some reviews, it means a lot, helps us fight the algorithm, however that works. I don't know. If you have any questions or thoughts about this episode, reach out to us on Instagram.
No shit, what is this?
Reach out to us on Instagram at Hair the Dogcast, on Twitter at Hot Dogcast, and send us emails at hairthedogcast@gmail.com if you want access to a bunch of bonus episodes, the after show, all that stuff. Patreon.com/hairthedogcast. Executive producers Ryan Christianick, Tyler Keller, Kip, Brian Ward, and Katie Bone. Thank you for your support, and thank you to everyone else on our Patreon for the support. We're part of the HyperX Podcast Network. For more information, check out podcast.hyperx.com. Upcoming episode topics. Elden Dogs returns. Next time we have a dogs episode. So in 2 weeks, it'll be our Liurnia of the Lakes episode, which has been available to Patreon members for a while.
Yes.
But so we're going to be having some more Elden Dogs. And then the next Dogcast, I don't know yet. We're going to see if we can get Josh on the next episode, which would mean we would decide a topic with Josh.
Sure. Yeah.
But what we're going to do now, I wanted to start doing a game ranking thing. And I thought we could start by ranking our 8 indie games we've covered for Indie Games Month.
Okay.
So we're going to start right at the top. Nex Machina or Cinemora?
Cinemora.
I would agree. Cinemora, Nex Machina. Okay.
That was my tummy. I didn't even fart.
What Remains of Edith Finch? I would put above both of those two.
I would too.
Okay. What Remains of Edith Finch and Kentucky Route Zero. Now, this one is a little more tough. I think that I like What Remains of Edith Finch more than Kentucky Route Zero, but I think Kentucky Route...
As a game, yes.
As an experience, as a package, Kentucky Route Zero, this one's not easy for me to choose between those two.
I'm going to choose Kentucky.
I will agree. I don't have strong feelings, and if you're ready to say it, I will go there with you.
I think as just a pure artistic endeavor.
Okay, and then that moves us into this Indie Games Month, Hades. I would put Hades above Nex Machina and Cinemora.
Yes.
What Remains of Edith Finch or Hades?
Hades.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Hades or Kentucky Route Zero?
Kentucky Route Zero.
I'll agree.
Okay.
Disco Elysium.
Oof. It's
I would put it below What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah.
But above Cinemora.
Above, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Disco Elysium. All right. Cuphead.
A little rougher. Better than Hades.
You'd put it better than Hades but below Kentucky Route Zero?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Where would you like to put it? I might agree with you.
I'd put it below What Remains of Edith Finch.
You would put it below?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. You know what? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Hollow Knight.
Better than What Remains of Edith Finch.
I would put What Remains above.
You know what? Yeah. Let's do that. Because there's...
Hollow Knight's better than Cuphead, though, I would say.
Hollow Knight's better than Cuphead, yeah. It is.
Just the experience I had with What Remains of Edith Finch just seems more unique and resonates more with me. The story of a family, of the psychology of the characters.
Yeah, it's so well written, level design, just the exploration aspect of it,
Just,
how weird it feels.
The world design is so cool in that game.
And not a lot of games can do that. So yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start adding some of our other games we've covered in here at some point. Oh, wait, we did more indie games. We did 6 last year, actually, so we have 2 more to add. Untitled Goose Game.
You can put that in the trash heap. I don't care.
I'd put it below Nex Machina. I'd put it at the bottom of this list.
Yeah, I would too.
I like Entitled Goose Game, but it's more of a fun novelty.
It's fun. I ended up getting annoyed by it. I didn't like how the puzzles worked. I don't know. It just didn't stick with me.
Undertale,
man.
I'd put it above Nex Machina and below
Yes.
Cinemora.
Yes. Undertale, a lot of people love it. And, it's kind of ironic because Earthbound is one of my favorite games of all time. If we're talking about Dylan's list,
Yeah.
it's in my top 5. So I don't know, man. It just didn't click with me. And maybe it's also because I actively hate the fan base for Undertale.
They are a weird one.
I actively dislike them, and I find them all to be very cringy.
Yeah.
Especially seeing all that fan art. Maybe that's poisoned me a little bit, but Undertale, no, it's not for me.
I think that I chose Untitled Goose Game last year just because I wanted something easy and quick. So our ranking for the 10 indie games we've covered, from worst to best: Untitled Goose Game, Nex Machina, Undertale, Cinemora, Disco Elysium, Cuphead, Hollow Knight, What Remains of Edith Finch, Hades, and Kentucky Route Zero is currently ranked number 1 for the Raw Dogs rankings.
I think. Well, I know how much Kentucky Route Zero affected you. It actually helped you make a different job choice in your life at some point.
Yeah, it made me even more upset with the government, which surprising.
Yeah. Turns out.
There's more hatred in my heart than I thought.
Yep. It affected me pretty greatly. I played it on the PC first, and I think that's like my preferred method. I don't know how I feel about the TV version. It functions just fine, but there's just something about the point and click aspect of it that really drew me in.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been the Raw Dogs, and we will see you next week for the Dogcast.
Dogcast!
Woo!